I agreed to check in on my friend's cat during her holidays, but what I encountered made me flee, in fear after just 5 days. My friend and I have known each other since high school, but life had slowly pulled us apart over the years. It wasn't until recently, when she moved near my place, that we reconnected. She invited me over, and amid catching up, she introduced me to her new rescue cat, Boots. From the pictures and videos she shared, Boots seemed adorable and friendly, a perfect companion. So when my friend asked me to look after Boots while she went on holiday, I readily agreed. The first night was uneventful. Boots was playful and affectionate, exactly as my friend had described. But by the second night, things started to take a strange turn. A foul, sulfur-like odor lingered in the house, making me wonder if Boots was unwell. Despite my concern, I carried on with my duties, but Boots behaved oddly, fixating on me with her intense green eyes. As the nights progressed, the atmosphere in the house grew chillingly cold, and strange noises echoed from the attic. Boots would often stare towards the stairs leading up, as if she sensed something I couldn't. On one occasion, she even brought me a dead rat, a grisly gift that sent shivers down my spine. By the fourth night, I was on edge. I arrived to find the house unusually dark, despite my usual precautions. The sulfur stench was overpowering, and this time, I heard distinct footsteps from above. Fear gripped me as I tried to ignore the eerie feeling creeping over me. I hastily completed my tasks and left, feeling a sense of relief once I was outside. On the fifth night, I debated whether to go at all. Reluctantly, I convinced myself to make a brief visit, promising to return during daylight hours the next day. Yet, as soon as I stepped inside, the ominous footsteps resumed, louder and closer than before. Panic set in, as I desperately searched for any means of protection. In a frantic attempt to ward off whatever malevolent presence lurked, I resorted to scattering salt, a last-ditch effort rooted in superstition. The house seemed to hold its breath as I uttered prayers in a language I barely remembered, hoping for some semblance of safety. The footsteps drew nearer, and I felt a cold breath on my neck, accompanied by whispers I couldn't comprehend. In a moment of sheer terror, I threw the remaining salt and bolted for the door, not daring to look back until I was safely outside. Unable to face another night alone in that house, I made the decision to stop going altogether. With just 2 days left until my friend's return, I left ample supplies for Boots and prayed she would be okay until then. "What are you doing here?" she said as soon as she walked through the arrival gates. "Well, I figured you'd need to drive home. Plus, I need to tell you something," I said, relaying the whole story and showing her the photos I'd taken, even the ones I'd sent to her before. She listened quietly, and when I was done, she stopped dead in her tracks, looked me in the eyes, and grabbed my hands. "Do you think I can stay with you tonight?" she asked softly. "What?" I asked, genuinely confused. "You don't want to see if your cat is okay?" "Andy, these pictures are undeniably from my house, but I don't have a cat," she said, showing me her phone. Our last conversation on her phone was her thanking me for coming to the party months ago. I had the most terrifying experience of my life. I'm a 42-year-old man. It was about 10:30 p.m., just another quiet evening at home, watching TV. Suddenly, the tranquility shattered by a relentless pounding on my front door. Boom, 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 boom. My heart raced with fear. I cautiously peered through the window, hiding behind potted plants, trying not to be seen. Below me, a black SUV sat ominously in the driveway, its lights and hazards blinking in the darkness. With Halloween lurking in my mind, my thoughts raced to horror movie scenarios. Panic set in as I remembered the patio door, often tricky to lock, might still be unlocked. Creeping into the basement, I grabbed a sturdy piece of wood to jam it shut. As I emerged, 2 loud bangs echoed from the basement window, sending me sprinting back up to secure the sliding door, closing blinds and extinguishing lights as I went. An hour passed, and I started to calm down, sitting in the dim glow of the TV. Then headlights crept across my ceiling, the black SUV returning up my driveway's incline. Fear gripped me anew. I dialed 911, envisioning myself as the next urban legend. Peeking through the plants, I watched, frozen, as the SUV parked just steps from my door. Its occupants hidden in the darkness. The tension was unbearable. Until finally, the SUV slowly reversed and vanished into the night. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. Minutes later, a sheriff's deputy arrived in our secluded neighborhood. I hurriedly shared the night's events with him and my landlord, who lived nearby. To my horror, as I stepped outside to meet them, a chilling note greeted me on my door. "Derek, we're going to kill you." I am not Derek. I don't know any Derek. Frantic, I recounted everything to the deputy and landlord. They called for backup and scrutinized the note, bombarding me with questions about debts, enemies, or romantic entanglements, none of which applied to me. The night ended with heightened security measures and assurances from my landlord. But the chilling conclusion awaited me in the morning. In my office, where I had hastily secured the patio door, I discovered it cracked open. Someone had tried to breach it despite my makeshift barricade. Today, with reinforced locks and heightened vigilance, I'm left haunted by unanswered questions and the lingering fear of what might have been. When I was young, around 9 and 10, we moved around a lot because of witness protection. We spent most of my childhood bouncing around hotels, or if we were lucky, we got a house for a short while before being relocated. I remember one night shortly after being settled into a new house in Alberta. I was in bed. It was the dead of night. Everyone was asleep, and as was often the case with new houses, it took me a long time to start falling asleep. I like to figure out a house's night noises, creaking, air ducts, etc. But this night, something occurred that me and my mother both still talk about to this day. As I lay in bed, around 1 a.m., I heard my mom call me from the kitchen. So I hopped out of bed and poked my head out the bedroom and started making my way down the hall towards the kitchen. The only light on in the house was the kitchen light. As I walked down the hall, I passed my siblings' bedroom doors and my parents' bedroom door. I heard my mom call me again from the kitchen. At this point, I'm right at the end of the hall, not more than 3 paces away from the kitchen doorway. When I hear my mom from her bedroom say, "Go back to bed," I heard it too. At that point, I became terrified and ran to my room and hid under the blankets. While my mom woke Dad up to search the house, they found nothing. Those of you who have had a similar experience, let's talk about it. I'm certain that if my mother hadn't told me to go back to bed, if I had made it to the kitchen, that something terrible would have happened to me.